Hey, welcome to Dream Aloud with Kendra. It's a podcast for Black women who want to live limitless lives. Be inspired by others who have dared to step outside of their comfort zone to live their hopes and dreams and passions. Now let's get started because life is way too short not to live the way that you want.
So, hello everybody. I am here with my friend and cousin, the Reverend Dr. Lillian Smith. She is a cousin
Yes.
and she has written the foreword to my book, Lessons in Legacy, the JMC Family Palmetto Society Blueprint. And she's an author herself, as well as a contributing author to an anthology. She's a mother, sister, daughter, friend, and we are here to get into an incredible conversation about her and her phenomenal life. She has pivoted from the private sector as in communications to ministry, and as she calls it, communicating from for God.
Yeah.
And I want to introduce to you all my one of my wonderful cousins, Lillian Smith, aka Reverend Dr. Smith. I want to welcome you here to our session on Second Acts.
Well, hello, everyone. Blessings. It's good to be with you. I enjoy especially being with my cousin, the great Kendra Newman. She's a little biased because we are cousins, but
Yes,
she's
yes.
a woman in her own right. Praise God. Good to
Thank
see
you. But I didn't tell any stories. You are phenomenal.
you. Yeah, we're
And
phenomenal together. Amen.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we already have Vance online talking about good afternoon, cuz. Hey, Vance.
Vance.
How are you? Good to talk to you. We won't say what your nickname is here online, but we know who we're waving at. Vance Thompson, we love you.
Hello.
So, so tell us, this is second acts. How in most of our people have been on, most of my guests are on their second, third, fourth, fifth, 18th act.
Hey.
So tell us how you went from the private sector to where you are now. How'd you
Well,
start out?
sure. I attended Hampton University and received a degree, Master's of Arts Bachelor of Arts in Communications, Mass Media Arts, with a minor in journalism.
Hmm.
I'm a preacher's kid, so I never really had the plan of being in ordained ministry. Maybe lay ministry, but because every baptized believer is a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So
Hmm.
it's enough for me. Um, When I came out of Hampton, I worked at WETA Channel 26 as an editorial assistant. I was having fun working for WETA magazine. And then after that, I worked as a personal assistant for Peggy Cooper Cafritz, who started Duke Ellington School for the Arts in Washington, D.C. That was fine for me. But there was a call there that would not let me go. And after I went through a season of maybe three people talking to me within about 2 months, within 2 month period, that was enough. I didn't need anybody else coming to tell me. I said, I
Hmm.
hear you. So it has not always been easy, but I wouldn't trade it
Uh-huh.
because when we are able to live out our God ordained destiny, we live a more fulfilled life. We do. We
Hmm.
live more fulfilled lives.
Hmm.
Sometimes there's a thought, well, if you go into ordained ministry, if you're communicating for God, you can't use your other gifts. No, God uses everything. In fact, our previous pivots, before we pivoted, that was God preparing us for where we are now.
Hmm.
Everything that we do, God will use it to build upon the next call on our lives. Yes.
Is that Jesus?
Hey, look, it's not, but hey, if he's on the main line, we can call.
We can hold for him, but go ahead.
That's right. That's right. So, that's how I made the pivot from In ministry, I have served in local congregations.
Mm-hmm.
I have served on two of our general agencies, the General Board of Higher Education and Ministries, where I worked for as a director of ministries with women and persons of color, and
Mm-hmm.
worked for which is now called Discipleship Ministries. It used to be General Board of Discipleship, and there I was Associate General Secretary for Ministries with Young People's Ministries.
Mm-hmm.
So, in all of those, I also worked in the conference as director of connectional ministries. So, in other words, God will use our giftings, and God has used my giftings for communications, telling the good
Mm-hmm.
in different kinds of situations.
Your gifts are transferable. So
They are.
wherever your purpose is, you said
That's right.
your God-given destiny,
That's right.
there's a purpose for that. And
Yeah.
and the things that you do change sometimes. And
That's
for
right.
you, it was a calling into the ministry. But as you said, we're all ministers,
That's right.
no matter where you are. And
That's right.
so if you find yourself using certain gifts all the time,
That's right.
then it's probably attached to your purpose, correct?
That's right. And God ordains our steps.
Yep.
If we yield with an understanding, we don't know exactly where we will end up. But if we yield, God will order our steps.
Hmm.
We don't lose anything. No experience is lost.
Yep. Absolutely. So, so we're talking, the book comes out, the Lessons and Legacy book comes out on February 16th.
Yay!
And you wrote the foreword to that.
Yes.
And your father and the book is really about organizing your family. So I give a lineage of us, but then
Mm-hmm.
it's about our formal organization on how we keep our family together.
Yeah.
And we've been able to reach out, extending past an immediate family and building this organization of people who not only love one another but can help one another as well.
Yeah.
And so when they started their reunions up again, your father, well, when they started in the 50s, your father was already a part of the ministers
Yeah.
that were ministering to the family when they would just come from South Carolina to New Jersey, or New Jersey back to South Carolina, or somewhere along the way in
Yeah.
DC. And so I didn't get a chance to meet your father. And if I did, I don't remember. But your
You probably did.
grandmother,
You probably did, but you were just little.
little, and didn't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But your grandmother
Uh-huh.
is my grandmother's aunt.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she used to come to New Jersey and stay at my grandmom's house.
Did she?
So I got the opportunity to be in the presence of my great great aunt.
Isn't that something?
She was great great Aunt Eula, so I had two Aunt Eulas, my grandmom's sister, so it was
Uh-huh.
great Aunt Eula, and
That's,
then your grandma was great great Aunt Eula.
isn't that
And
something?
so I would come to my grandma's house and she would be there for days on end, and we
Uh-huh.
would all laugh and talk, and I was in her presence, but I didn't understand. So we're still streaming too. Everybody, it was me. We have a big snowstorm
On the East Coast.
here on the East Coast. You have snow in DC too?
Yeah, in Maryland, yeah.
So I don't know what happened. I don't know if somebody hit a pole. We're in the country. So so when you're in the country, if somebody hits a pole or anything, it's a wrap. And so I'm not sure if I can see that we're live here or what. Can you guys see us? I think I'm stuck.
We
Just give
see.
me a second. That was quite interesting. He said we could see him.
Okay.
So, okay. I don't know if I'll be able to see other people and their questions. We were able to see them earlier, but we're just gonna talk.
That's all right. That's all
We
right.
heard you. Thank you. So Mike is like, we got you. We can see you.
Yay.
We can hear you. Thanks, Michael. But I can't. I
And
can't.
that was a pivot. That was a life.
That was an
That was a
app.
pivot.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't get concerned. You don't get upset. You say, okay, now what do I need to do to keep
Yes.
on? That's a good pivot. That's a good life.
Yes.
That's life.
And you need to be calm about it.
That's
So I'm from the IT world. And as a director of IT, I had a lot of people that I had to serve. And they would call me all up in arms. Oh my God, this isn't working. That isn't working. So I would actually get feedback that I didn't care. And I said, no, it's not that I don't care, but somebody has to stay calm
that's
because
right.
that's what technology is about. It's not 100%.
That's
And
right.
you need to figure a way to work around it. So there was this one lady because one of my departments that I supported was social work. So most of their work was funded by grants. And so they're like, what about my server? I need this done right away. And something's wrong. And I said, we'll fix it. We got it. We'll work on it. So the lady, she started learning. Her name was Phyllis. Phyllis, if you're watching, hey, I would say, Phyllis, if I'm not panicking, you don't have to panic because
That's
we
right.
have it.
That's
Because I
right.
know that we can fix this. And so after a while, she started learning, okay, you're not panicking. I'm not going to panic. And we
Yeah.
always made sure that Phyllis had everything that she needed.
You
So,
know,
like I said, this is definitely a pivot.
and ideally, God doesn't want us to worry
Exactly.
because if we learn to trust God, I'm not saying that everything's perfect.
Exactly.
Learn to trust God. God is able to work through the situation to get us where we need to go.
Mm-hmm.
We worry and things happen. Now, I'm not saying, we live in a pie in the sky. No, 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 no. But when we worry, we really open the door for fear to come in.
Yep.
Fear says we trust the enemy more than we trust God. So it's like, okay, let's not worry. Okay, God.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
But
real.
it looks like you don't care
Yeah. No,
when you
yeah,
don't do
you do
that.
care. That's right.
My husband and I get into this conversation all the time.
I hear
He's
you.
like, don't you care? I was like, yes, but God's going to work it out. And he's looking at me like, you are one crazy chick.
But it's
We
true.
need to work on this. And I was like, okay, so when have we had an obstacle that God didn't work it out?
Come on.
And he can't answer that. But he's like, no, that's just not the way I do it. So I said, but I'm not going to worry with you.
That's right.
I'm going to work through some issues with you.
That's
We're going to
right.
find some solutions together. But if you're waiting for me to roll around and cry and worry, and then when it works out, it's like, oh, it worked out. Why spend that energy?
That's right.
I
No,
can
I
work on
agree.
I can work on solutions.
That's right. That's right.
So we have to know that people are they have different ways of handling things.
Yeah.
So I don't want to tell him don't worry at all, but I can't participate in a whole
Yeah.
bunch of worry.
No, I understand. I
I might be
understand.
up at night going, okay,
How you
how
gonna
is
do
this
that?
going to work out? And
Uh-huh.
then I just have to say, God, you handle it because
It's in
I
your
don't have the
hands.
answer. And that's another reason why I don't like to have the TV on at night because you
Yeah,
can't hear God.
that's true.
And so usually if you go to sleep, when you wake up, you might have an answer.
That's true.
So that's I
I tell you, we might be having the enemy must be angry today. Uh, but as my cousin is saying, we don't worry. When we trust God, we don't have the option to worry because we want to make sure we allow God space to do what God's going to do. Because God is able. And God will continue to do what God needs to do. Yeah. And as she continues to get back, we, like I said, it's a snow, like she said, it's a snowstorm on the east coast. Well, it's the whole country, really. We just will continue to work through technology. But as my great cousin comes back, remember that God has a plan for you. And whatever, something might happen in your past, but it doesn't mean that's your future. Make that pivot. As my cousin, who's a life coach, make that pivot, as she would tell you, make that pivot and keep on going, because your future, God has a wonderful destiny for you, and you are not to worry. So, yeah. And I hope you will get a copy of her book. It's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful book. And I know she's autographing them. If you will go to her website at techyours.com to get her book, to get a link to buy the book, or you go to dreamaloudwithkendra.com and you can get a copy of that book there, and she will sign it for you and send it to you. I promise you, especially if you're trying to keep your family together, if you're trying to figure out a way to organize family reunions, it is an invaluable resource. My cousin has taken on one of the roles of our matriarch, who Aunt Sis, Cousin Sis, who had been planning these family reunions for years. My cousin Kendra has stepped into that to help take some of the lead in, sharing the lead with some of that. But if you're looking for planning family reunions, it's an invaluable tool, So I hope you will be able to do that here. My brilliant cousin is coming back. Family reunions. So I was talking about your book.
I heard you. I was like, yes. Mike is like, she's holding it down. She's holding it down.
Yeah, come on. So I told you to get it online and you can sign it and you'll send it to them.
I sure will.
This book will help. You were saying this before we got, before technology kicked in again.
Yes, ma'am.
Families are looking for a plan for family reunions. This gives, a tool, a vehicle that they can use to do that.
Yep.
Because our family's been doing it for many years.
Since the 50s. The 50s. And so they became organized. Well, they've always been organized. They actually registered their nonprofit in the 80s. And so we have all of that information in the book, from who we are, how our organization started, and how other people can do the same. But most of all, it's about getting together and breaking bread.
Yeah.
And getting to know people outside of grandma's house. There's so many more people in your life. There's so many more people. I was just talking about like the ministers. So there's a long line of ministry. That's a legacy within our family.
Yeah.
And so your dad was a minister. And then we had cousin Jasper, who was also a minister. So they had the two Jaspers.
C. Jaspers. Yep. Two Jaspers.
C. Jasper Smith and then Jasper Johnson. And so because we also have bylaws, one of our bylaws is we have to worship together.
Yeah.
So we're not out of ministers.
That's right.
We have that worship service. But the best part I like about our family is we never feel weird around ministers. Because it's a life thing.
That's right.
And if someone has chosen a different path, that's okay too. You're still family.
That's right.
One thing that I love about the Johnson, McFarland, McQueen family is we love everybody, from the person who has been to jail, for rightfully convicted, to the person who is running, for Senate, that kind of thing. You're all family and we love you all.
That's right.
And so we're not going to condone, the bad, but we love the person. That's right. I love to see that. When Lillian comes into the room, we don't say, "Oh, here comes the Reverend Doctor." Here's Lillian. She's here. And
that's right.
She brought her mom and her kids, and this is where we're going to do it. And we have a great time.
That's right.
Not only did you write the foreword to the book,
yes, ma'am,
but you've also hosted many a reunion.
Yeah, I hosted one in our backyard.
Your beautiful backyard in Tennessee.
Yes, Tennessee. That's the one I really did just about all of it. I did all of that one.
Yes.
cousin sis asked me to, Aunt sis, cousin sis asked me to help with something, and I helped a little bit, but I didn't really plan it. I just did one part of it.
The
But
one in DC.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So this is another thing. This is the second day of Black History Month.
yes,
And I will say this. When I was growing up, I was like, I love my family. Yes, I know we're Black and we're phenomenal, but do we need to do all of this? I am a changed person, about 20 or 30 years changed, and I absolutely believe that we need to do all of this.
yeah,
You were doing that all the time.
yeah,
So we're in DC, and you get up and you read Still I Rise by Maya Angelou at
yeah,
church. And
yeah.
I'm going, okay, we know we're Black. Why do we need to do that? But by the time 2006 came and you had hosted in DC, I mean in Tennessee,
Yeah,
I was all on board and we did a Black History tour
yeah,
in Tennessee.
yeah.
And you bought in two history professors from
Mm-hmm.
TSU,
Yeah.
From Tennessee State. I can't remember the name of the professor who was on my bus because I had
Uh-huh.
the little mini bus that you had because I flew in. I didn't take the bus. So there was the big bus of 50 people, and
Uh-huh.
then there was the little bus of those of us who had either driven or flown in. And I was on a little bus, so we were able to ask questions. And he methodically took us from landmark to landmark. The one thing that I remember the most is we were riding through Nashville
Uh-huh.
and he's pointing out Black owned and what Black people used to do. And we were riding by the riverboat, and he explained that there was a slave, an enslaved woman
Uh-huh.
who was on this riverboat with the family where she was taking care of the children. And one of the children fell off the boat and she dove in to save this child. And no one knows the name of this lady,
Wow.
but she was able to she was recognized and they gave her her freedom papers and I was wondering why. Okay, you saved the child, but he explained that not only were the enslaved not permitted to read and write, they were not permitted
To
to
learn
learn to
to swim.
swim
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you could swim to freedom.
There you go.
I never heard that before.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
So here I was, 36 years old, just finding out that they were not permitted to swim.
See, that's amazing. Yeah.
What else don't we know?
Look.
And then they leave patterns. So there's a pattern there. There's a lot of Black people that don't know how to swim. Why?
Even now, that's true.
Because their parents didn't know how to swim.
That's
And
true.
so no one was able to teach them. And then now we say Black folks don't swim. But if you just learn that little piece, you need to be defiant and learn how to swim or at least float.
That's
Do
right.
something.
That's
There's
right.
always something in the background
That's right.
that we don't understand or know.
That's right.
And that is why we need to incorporate Black history
Well, look.
into our reunions as well. Because we can
And
see how magnificent we are.
and one of the things cousin sis would always talk about was how our relative, Cat, was it Cat Daniel,
Cat Daniels.
had been thrown off of the ship that was bringing enslaved people into
Yep.
South Carolina, was thrown off the ship. Somehow he swam to shore. He got caught again, but he got thrown off, and that was
Yep.
because he was fighting for freedom or what have you. Come on, somebody.
But he probably knew how to swim
That's true.
on the continent.
That's right. And he did swim to shore. He got caught again.
Because the whole thing, they threw them over and they were told if they could swim, they would live.
Well,
And he swam ashore.
he did.
And we're here because he swam
That's
ashore.
right. That's right. And we talk about history, Black history. We have a number of relatives and generations that have withstood the oppressions of the time.
Yes.
Thus we rise. Come on, son.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
by the grace of God,
Mhm.
God is not confined by the evil of anybody. God is no respecter of
Right.
persons, and God will help us.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're right.
And that's why it's important to tell the story,
That's right.
because we are looking everywhere but
Mhm.
right around you, which
Yeah.
is another reason that my interviewees are people that I know.
Okay.
I'm not running for the star, because you guys are the stars. I'm surrounded by phenomenal women.
Wow.
Why not put them out there? And
Wow.
so when we think about it, you're my grandmother's grandmother had a farm. So she had a farm,
Mhm.
and they owned land and houses. And
They
she
did.
was
That's right.
born in 1865.
See.
Her parents,
Hmm.
your great grandparents, my great
Yes.
great grandparents,
Hmm.
had a farm,
Hmm.
and they had business as well.
Yeah.
And they were born, dare I say, before emancipation or
I hear.
close to it.
I hear
They
you.
had land.
Hmm.
What a phenomenal feat.
That's right.
And we're so busy saying black folks can't get together. Well, apparently they are together.
Yeah.
We migrated from the South together, and
Hmm.
we're still working together. So what needs to change here? Just the narrative.
That's
The
right.
truth, the truth has always been there,
Yeah.
but we don't believe. We're looking too many other places. It's right there.
That's right.
It's right there in front of us. But if somebody like Lillian didn't get up and say, we're black and we're happy to be black, and God has brought us this far,
Oh, most certainly.
then we keep thinking, oh, well, I did this on my own.
Oh
I've
no.
learned this, but no, it's in you. It's in
That's
your
right.
DNA.
That's right.
And you're not the first person to do it.
Oh no. No. No.
And it's also your job to keep everyone else in step. Let them know. Tell
That's
the
right.
story.
That's
Keep the
right.
narrative the true narrative of who we are. There's an African proverb that says, until the lion learns to write, the story of victory will always be told by the hunter.
Come on. That's a word. That's a good word.
So we only hear what the hunter says.
That's right.
What are the lions saying?
That's right.
And can the lion tell the story if they don't know who they are?
No. Uh-uh. If they don't know who they are, no. In the Lion King, there's and it's I used it in one of my meditations for my book, Words to Live by, Wisdom Keys That Can Change Your Life. In one of them, I highlighted Mustafa's words to Simba: "You are not who you have become."
Uh,
Because Simba thought that he had caused his father's death, right? And he thought he was a loser. He thought he was defeated.
mhm.
Fasa came to him and said, "No, no, 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 no. You are not who you have become. You are my child." And
Yes.
this is for everyone, but it's important
Mhm.
people of African descent to remember that we are sons and daughters of the Most High God.
Yeah.
No junk, no, we're not orphans, we're not stepchildren, we're God's children. And so we need to live that out as royalty, divine royalty.
Divine royalty.
That's
So
right.
let's talk about the church.
Okay.
You have a chapter in the anthology. What's the title of the book? Because I don't want to mess it up.
That's all right. You want me to show it?
Yes.
This is I'm Black.
I'm black, I'm Christian, and I'm Methodist.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It was edited by Rudy Rasmus, Reverend Rudy Rasmus, Reverend Doctor, who pastors St. John's United Methodist in
Okay.
Houston, Texas, and he pastors it with his wife, Reverend Juanita Rasmus, who also recently wrote a book, Learning
Okay.
recently. And so, and Dr. Rudy asked each of us to write on a different perspective. And mine was, let's see, I'm Black, I've seen, I remain. Yeah,
Hmm.
Black, I've seen, I remain. And I talked about our families. We've been a part of Methodism from the very beginning, truly,
Yes.
very beginning. And so we're not Janetta's or Johnny come lately to the Methodist movement, whether we're AME Zion, now United Methodist, CME, whatever. We have been here.
Mm-hmm.
We have an ancestor by the name of what? Miles Newman, who provided some property on which MacB stands. MacB United Methodist Church stands.
New Hope.
Thank you.
New Hope
Thank you.
United Methodist in MacB.
Thank you very much. New Hope and MacB. We have my father helped build a church in Angeles, and I can't think, the name just went out of my mind. So we've been here.
Mm-hmm.
Been here, but there's no reason to. In other words, if you see that you're part of it, you don't have to be made like you're on the periphery. That you don't belong.
Yeah.
God's family is a multicolored, multicultural, multiple family. And no one should ever feel that they're less than. In the political reality in which we live, it just seems like, racism just seems, the sin and the evil of racism seems to be rearing its ugly head one more time.
Mm-hmm.
But we too sing America. We've been here. We're not going anywhere. So we need to first identify who's causing this, the true source of this mess is Satan, the hater of our souls, and then, dismantle this racism and this hatred.
So let's talk about that. So our family started out, most of them still are Methodist, United Methodist. We came to New Jersey, and most of us became AME, African Methodist Episcopal. So I will tell you, I don't go to church at all right now.
Okay.
I'm loving God. I'm following His word, but I have tired of rituals and just religion. I am interested in relationship. Now, here is the thing with the Methodist Church. I started out as Methodist until I became an adult, because to me, the Methodist Church, even AME, was a little too quiet. We had some choirs when I was little, and then when they went back to the Methodist that you see on TV, very quiet and this. And I told my mom, I'm going to be Baptist. I'm going to be this. And she said, I don't care where you are, what you do, as long as you go somewhere. And so I knew, I was psychic for many years. I knew way in advance where I'd be on Sunday and Wednesday in church. But I will say this, and then from there, I never became Baptist. I went straight to non-denominational. And that had been good for me as well. But what I got out of the AME church, the African Methodist Church, was organization. That's where I learned to stand in front of crowds of people, starting with Sunday school. Thank you for the primary class, for one teacher, 8 scholars, and $12.50. That kind of thing. From there, I became the recording secretary for all the people that stood up and said what their classes had. And I understand that they were foundational for colleges. So all of these HBCUs.
Oh, many of them, yes.
Many of them started from the AME Church or AME Zion Church. That's what I understand.
Or even the even the black conferences of what is now the United Methodist Church.
Okay.
Morgan State University came out of the Black Conference. University of Maryland Eastern Shore used to be the Princess Anne Academy of Morgan College. Oh, most certainly. Bethune-Cookman College came out of the United Methodist Church. Oh, yeah.
So what I've gotten out of that was leadership, public speaking, friendship, and boy, did they cook good. They cooked very well. And so that was another part of a community, and most of the people there were probably like 4 or 5 families.
I hear you.
And it was huge because everybody came to see grandma and you went to church with grandma. And so it was about those 4 or 5 families that became a family.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like I was learning Bible stories, but not the rest
Mm-hmm.
of the story, not experiencing the Rhema. But I will
Mm-hmm.
tell you this, when my mother died, I knew the word because of these rituals, because of responsive reading, because of some Sunday school and Wednesday Bible study, that when my mother passed away,
Uh-huh.
again, I'm not a worrier. So everybody was like, she's a little strange. You know, her and her mom was close, that she's in denial and this and that. And I would remember laying in bed going, am I in denial? Should I be acting a different way?
Mm-hmm.
Because my reaction didn't set well with everyone else. And as I was laying in bed, I had already started doing my non denominational kind of study. I was like 22.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord spoke to me and said, this is that. You know, we stand at the and we stand at the back and it's a may the peace of God, which passes all understanding,
That's right.
your heart and your
Uh-huh.
mind.
That's
And
right.
the Lord brought that to my remembrance. This is that.
Yeah.
That was the rhema of God. I
Yeah.
actually got to experience the
See?
rhema of God, not in church,
Yeah.
but in life. And that's what I'm looking for at all times, the rhema of God in life.
See?
Church, to me, church is where you get all your ammunition.
Oh
That's
yeah.
where you are being built for times such as these. We're in a
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah.
If this is where you apply all that you've learned, church is school for life.
Oh, that's right. You go to church, you get the tools and the weapons you need for warfare, and then you go out. So yes,
Right,
yes, but it's also like you said, it's a personal walk. It's a personal,
right.
and
Absolutely.
I'll also add. Initially, the early Methodist Church was not quiet.
Hmm.
No, no, no. It wasn't quiet. Initially, it was not quiet. One of the reasons it was attractive to blacks was because they were enthusiastic.
Hmm.
That was very similar to the African spirituality.
Yes.
You know, it's probably as we became more middle class that we tried to, rein that some of that cultural.
Yes.
There is a person by the.
Middle class, educated,
Mhm, that's right.
and running or at the top
Uh-huh.
of HBCUs because I understand most of the HBCUs initially had black presidents as well. I mean, white
Mhm.
presidents as well.
Uh-huh.
So the higher you got up, the more educated. That that may be the origins of our quietness nowadays.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think some people are breaking out of it. I know that there is a person who wrote by the name of R.A. Torrey. He was an evangelist.
Hmm.
And Anglo. He was a white evangelist, and he talked about how he had the baptism of the Holy Spirit, and he said he was a quiet person, but he shouted louder than the loudest shouting Methodist. Come on, somebody. So we have lost that in many churches. We have lost that part of our spiritual legacy.
Hmm.
Oh, I don't want people to think that's completely gone. It's not completely gone. It just probably needs to be watered or fuel the flyer. Come on, because
Yep.
there we cannot contain the Holy Spirit. In fact, there are many churches that if we went back, I'm talking about black congregations. If we went back a few generations, we would hear about Sister so and so who, when the Holy Spirit would hit, they'd run around
Yep.
and they just couldn't help themselves, and it was normal,
Yep.
or people would say amen more or what have you. We just lost some of that.
Hmm.
We're suppressing some of it. We have a varied way that we can respond, but
Yep.
yeah.
And you see how we saw that, and people don't even remember that because I didn't know. I thought my church in the 70s was just a little different, where they liked music, and there was, as back then, you got happy.
Uh-huh.
So when you shouted, you got so and so got happy, and
Uh-huh.
you went on. But it just seems that's the same thing with families.
Mm-hmm.
You forget the tradition.
That's right.
You
Unless you tell a story.
forget who you were. You forget the greatness.
That's right.
And so somebody needs to tell the story.
That's right.
Somebody needs to tell the story of the Methodists and the Black folks. And yes, I'm still a Christian. Somebody needs to tell the story of this was our religion when we got here, and we're still moving. So, Lillian, are you stuck now? Oh, you were stuck for a minute.
That's true. Oh,
So,
I'm sorry. Yeah. I got a little note told me, yeah.
so, so this is what's going on with us as a family,
Mm-hmm.
as a family that loves God. So, what is next for you?
I have a few more books that I'm going to be writing.
Okay.
God told me years ago to start writing. I've been kind of slow to do it, so I have some that I just need to get published. I need to
Okay.
format it and get them published. I don't know what else. I don't know what else, but that's all right. I'm not. I mean, I'm not worried about it, but I don't know what else.
It's okay.
The
You're,
newest
you're
thing that
already doing a million things.
look, that's an understatement. Right now, I just started helping to mentor some students working through their DMin process at
Okay.
Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio. So that's the new uh, portion of the puzzle.
Okay.
Who knows? I don't know, but that's all right. I'm good.
So, so I want to go back to your grandmother
Yes.
because that's when the power went out. So I knew it was going to be powerful. So she's my grandma's aunt,
Uh
but
huh.
she stayed at the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to go there all the time. Now I have a few pictures and there was lots of conversation, but the fact that no one there said, most people don't get the opportunity to meet and speak to their great great aunt.
That's true. That's very true.
And me being the griot, because my grandmama is a griot,
Okay.
I was too young to pick that up.
Oh.
As was, and I was 20. I think when she passed, I was probably 20, and I
Uh-huh.
still hadn't figured it out yet that
Wow.
this opportunity would not always be.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
Wow, what an opportunity would I have had to ask about Doc McQueen
You know
and
what?
Catherine McQueen,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we didn't talk about that.
No, and didn't think to. I'm gonna tell you, I regret not taking a microphone and taping cousin sis.
I did.
Okay, well that's good. I
I have recorded her, not just I have video,
okay.
caught her outside. And so
Mhm.
that's what I'm doing now. If I can video people, I do because the book is nice.
Mhm.
I post things on Facebook about folks. But, and the stories that I know, my dad held his grandmother,
Mhm.
your grandmother's sister.
Yeah.
But I don't know what her voice sounds like
Oh, I hear you.
because she died in 1966. And
Mhm.
if there's a recording, I don't know about it.
Mhm.
I don't know how she moved and what her mannerisms are because we only have still pictures.
I hear you.
So I have a picture with my son,
Okay.
with your grandmom, my grandmom, and his father, and I'm taking the picture. Why on
Oh,
earth
you're in the picture.
didn't I have him take the picture?
Yeah.
But I wasn't thinking about that.
Mhm.
So that's another thing about lessons in legacy. Please take pictures.
Yeah, that's true.
Please take pictures.
Yeah.
And if someone is taking your pictures, family members, because you're a member of someone's family, don't hide because those pictures are not for you.
That's
They're
right.
for someone else
That's
later
true.
on. That's for posterity's sake.
That's right.
Take the picture. It's not for you.
That's true.
And those of you who have pictures that you're not sharing with the rest of the family, you don't have to give them out now. You can scan them and
That's right.
share.
Uh-huh.
They're not just yours. They're for everyone.
That's right.
Share the pictures. So we won't know who we are unless we tell the story.
That's
The
right.
story won't be told with truth unless we tell the story.
That's right. Don't let it stay with you. That's right.
Not at all.
That's right.
So I'm sure we'll get a chance to plan another reunion
I
at
look forward
some
to it.
point.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll be ready by the time we
We
do
were
that.
supposed to do one together because I did Chicago 2005, and
Uh-huh.
then you did Tennessee 2006, and they've been rolling ever since. Everybody's been joining in, so we have a different host every year. We tried to have one this summer, and COVID wouldn't let us.
That's right.
It's looking like this summer may be some of the same. So we're going to have to figure out how we can do something digitally
That's right.
until we can get together. But until then, we hope that you I know that you'll keep writing.
Yeah.
We will stay in touch. I'm still looking for more pictures. And, since you can send them digitally, we don't have to worry about returning them.
I know that's real.
And it's an honor to say that, we share. Your great grandmother is my great great grandmother.
That's
And I
right.
know you like I know my first cousin. So
That's right. Isn't
we
that
won,
amazing?
yes. But it was an effort put in by the family.
Yeah, they were
And
very close.
they were very close.
They were very close.
And there were 14. My grandmom has 13 siblings. There were 14 of them. And
Uh-huh.
then all of your great grandparents' children. They had a good amount of
They
children,
did.
and
You're
they
right.
made sure that they knew one another. And so in the book, I have to stop at generation 5. So I go from Kat to
Okay.
Miles to Priscilla. I have to stop at generation 5 to make sure that it was inclusive of all of the JMC
Okay.
families.
Okay.
And then they have to flush out their line from there. But I've done the hard work because we know pretty much, the first and the generation right before us and the next generation. Then, but before that, I was tired of explaining. No, you're a family member on this side. No, you're a McFarland. No, you're a Johnston and McQueen, but not those Johnsons. This Johnson. So I was like, I'll put it
Uh-huh.
all in a book so that everybody can see. Then we talk about the organization, and then there's a blueprint with checklists and everything for anyone else who wants to do that for other members of their family and anybody who's not related to us. And you don't have to be black
That's
to
right. Oh
follow
no.
the checklist.
That's
You
right.
don't have to be black to follow the checklist. In fact, most of us are not 100% black.
Almost certainly. We have, yeah, yeah. And that comes out in the family line also. The
That comes out in the
Johnson.
family line. I'm
Mhm.
I'm trying to set up an interview with cousin Sharon, and
Okay.
we're going to go into the family that decided that passing as a white person
Uh-huh.
was easier than living as a black person.
Isn't that
So
interesting?
there are family members that we never saw again, that they never saw again because they were passing. And then there are family members I understand that they did reunite with in Philadelphia
Okay.
because they knew they were part of a passing family. I don't have all the details yet,
Well, I'll have to wait
but
to find
I'm ready to get all into that.
I'll
And
have
that's not in the book, but
that'll be the
but
next one.
yes, yeah, that'll be the next one because
Because
I enjoy studying and doing the genealogy and actually meeting the people and putting the dots together.
that's
And so
fun.
all of these stories that we have, the genealogy and the historical piece, putting that together and doing DNA to prove these stories or disprove these stories.
I have
And
not done my DNA yet. I need
you
to.
haven't,
Uh-uh.
you haven't, but there's a story that I did DNA for, and it the story doesn't pan out. So
Okay.
now there's more. I have to put on my sleuth glasses and hat
Okay.
again,
Okay.
and I need to follow that path and see where it
Okay.
leads because the folklore or the family lore, as I say,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
doesn't add up with the DNA.
It
But
doesn't.
no. But 90% of the stories that I have,
Uh-huh.
the DNA backs it up.
Then there's something else in that story that was left out. I got you.
Yes, ma'am.
Because they didn't make it up. Now, whatever story they passed on, they didn't make it
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Or they just thought.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
don't forget, there were 2 little boys left on a step.
I heard
And
that. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes. And they
and
thought that
so,
was part of the Trail of the Tears, right?
right, they thought they were part of the Trail of Tears.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
And so they're supposed to be Native American. Our DNA does not display Native
Ah,
American anywhere.
okay.
That
Okay.
doesn't mean that they weren't part of the Trail of Tears, because there were Africans
Yeah.
and other
Isn't that
people
something?
in that trail.
Uh-huh.
But Native American is so minuscule. And just looking at the lineage that we have, it should be higher
I
if
got
that
you.
story is true.
Uh-huh.
So where did these little boys come from?
That's interesting.
Stay tuned, everybody. There may
Yeah.
be another book, a workbook, or something. I don't know, but the DNA does not back that up.
Isn't that something?
But pretty much everything else that I've
Mhm.
been told, I've been able to either back up with DNA
Yeah.
or some research, some document that corroborates the story.
Isn't that something? That's
Yes, ma'am.
that's
So we got a lot to do. Tell everybody the name of your book again.
Oh, can I? Okay. So the one that I wrote myself is Words to Live By, Wisdom Keys That Can Change Your Life. It's available by Amazon and it highlights quotes, instructions of wisdom that I gleaned from different people, different
Mhm.
walks of life. And I really, it's, yeah, I'm
We're gonna get that.
not just because it's mine, it's just really wisdom.
It's really wisdom.
You learn from somebody else's wisdom. You don't have to make the mistake.
Absolutely.
Learn from somebody else. Amen.
That's right. Experience is a good teacher, but the
It is.
wise don't attend her school.
Come on. I want to attend her school because I don't want to learn it the hard way.
Hmm.
Because life will spank you if you let it.
Yep,
I ain't trying.
exactly.
And then the other one is I'm Black, I'm Christian, I'm Methodist. Both of them are available by Amazon and Amazon.com or Cokesbury. Either one.
Okay. So we talk about quotes. So when I do my podcast alone,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big quotes fan myself. So
Okay.
it's always quotes and questions to make you reflect and then make changes to make the pivots that you need to be in your purpose and walk it out with passion. So on this show, I always ask my guest, what is your favorite quote?
Okay. You said one. So the scripture is anything too hard for God?
Hmm.
Jeremiah 32:27. That's something that I am living out every day because in our life, it is easy to think, oh my gosh, I'm at a standstill. There's no way out. The situation won't shift. Nothing's too hard for our God.
No.
God is more powerful than any situation we confront. We keep our eyes on God, not the wind, not the rain, not the storm, not the waves. Nothing's too hard for God.
And so when you think of worrying or you're about to worry, remind yourself, is there anything too hard for God?
That's right.
That's pretty much what you're saying.
That's right.
And when you worry to the point that you're distraught, sometimes that's saying, I'm not sure who my God is.
That's right. It is. It is. We don't realize it. We really don't realize that we're saying, God, I don't trust you. And we know that fear comes. Fear is not from God. God says, I didn't give you that spirit.
Mm-hmm.
The spirit. I didn't give you that spirit. I gave you power
Power, love, and a
and a
sound
sound mind.
mind.
But when that spirit confronts it, when it assaults us, when it fights us, it's very easy to give into it. And what we have to learn is in order to walk out into God's best, we have to keep the fear at bay. When it comes, you got to confront it, put it in its place, and then say, God, I trust you. I don't know how you're going to do it, but I trust you. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I only ask for one, but the other one I have is don't hang with the losers. I was a young person. I was probably 30, 32. And Dr. Walter L. Kimbrough, who was pastor of Cascade. At that time, he was pastor of Cascade United Methodist in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you can't hang with everyone. He says, because some will do what they can to mess up your destiny.
Mm.
Doesn't mean you
Truth.
everybody. He said, but you can't hang with them because you're going some places that others are not going.
Everybody can't go.
Come on, that's a word. That's a word for everybody. Don't hang with losers. You love everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put anybody on the side, but for your circle, for your purpose and your destiny, you got to hang with God, with whom God sends your way. And sometimes God will do some shaking so that there's some falling away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Don't hang with losers.
Yeah. That was a hard word. I was like, huh? He said, don't hang with the losers. He said, everybody's going where you're going. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of what I used to tell my son when he was little.
Uh-huh.
Like, if you're an eagle, you don't hang out with chickens.
That's right.
Because the eagle soars above everything.
That's
Chicken
right.
is still on the ground. They're flapping real hard. They only get maybe a couple feet when
That's
they're
right.
flapping. They're flapping and flapping. So he went to Sunday school and told the people that he was an eagle and he's not going to be flapping.
But he
it's
told them
true.
true.
Exactly.
That's true.
Exactly. That's the same
true.
thing. Soar.
Yeah, it is.
You want to soar. And lastly, I always ask every guest, on whose shoulders do you stand? How could I be a griot and a lessons and legacy heritage person and not ask that question
Yeah.
of people? We didn't get here by ourselves.
No, I stand on the shoulders of every generation that went before me. And I don't take it for granted. Every generation, from my grandma Eula to my father and mother to their parents and their parents before them, I stand on everybody's shoulders.
We didn't even talk about your maternal grandparents.
Yeah.
Your maternal grandfather was a
he was a
physician,
doctor. Mm-hmm.
right?
He was, and he had gone to he and my grandmother had attended Princess Ad Academy of Morgan College. Remember, I said it started from the Black of the Methodist Church. And he was the first Black doctor in Talbot County. Then he went to Meharry Medical College, which was also Methodist, in Nashville, Tennessee. I stand on their shoulders.
Absolutely.
Who went through whatever they went through for us to be here.
And to thrive.
That's right. And to thrive. I'm not self-made. You know what?
None of us are.
We are also the actualization of their prayers. Prayers that they did not see manifest. But God said, I hear you, and I'm still going to make it happen through your generations.
Yep. God works through generations.
That's right.
And I'm going to collect everything that my mama didn't get.
That's
her mama didn't get.
What you talking about?
And my grandma didn't get.
That's right.
And
because they were stolen. That means stuff was stolen from them. That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely. They worked hard.
That's
so
right.
that I could have some stuff.
That's
and
right.
so I'm going for everything that they did not get.
That's right.
I'm also planning to thrive in every area.
That's
so
right.
You got to make some pivots to do that.
That's
and
right.
You got to make some changes. And lastly, I want to set up the generations after me to do even better, because there'll be some things that I didn't obtain.
That's right.
But I'm cheering them on.
That's right.
To make sure that we continue, because God does operate in generations.
That's right.
And I'm going for it.
That's right.
And that's the same thing with Abraham. God chose Abraham because he would teach his children.
That's right.
And so I make sure that I teach the word and the legacy.
That's right. That's right. No, we're going back. We're going for everything that our ancestors could not get because of oppressive times.
That's right.
Getting it, and we're going to pass on. And if there's anything that does not need to go forward,
cut it off at the root.
Come on, we'll do some warfare now and say enough is enough. No more. You will release our generations in Jesus' name.
And if you don't know the story, or if you don't do the analysis, then you don't know what you want to keep
That's
and
true.
what you need to let go of.
That's true.
Like the not swimming,
Yeah,
let it go.
that's right.
I'm sure if you lived on the coast, on the continent,
You had
you
to do.
were a swimmer.
That's right.
And then you got here and you weren't allowed to.
Yeah,
So swim. Don't
that-
sink.
that's right.
We weren't allowed to read and write. Do it. There's still some areas, some spaces that we are not in. Break through
That's right.
and create your own, because there where we couldn't go, where we weren't allowed, the worlds that we weren't allowed in, we created our own. And I do believe we thrived because we created our own.
Oh, most certainly. Yep,
And so that has to happen too.
that's right. That's right.
Continue to build your own. Are there any questions for Lillian before we let her go? Oh, we have a lot of people watching. I guess they're just listening.
Okay.
They're on. They're listening. And so what I do is when we sign off, people will watch later and just keep an eye on it. And if you want to respond to any questions that they have
Okay.
on Facebook later, be there. Oh, make sure you post where they can find your book,
Okay.
because we should read the book, especially the quotes.
Okay.
I need that. So you put that in the chat so that folks can know where they need to go to get it. So Renee Seaver said, my mom, Carrie Johnson, would
Uh-huh.
always take pictures at family reunions. Renee, share those pictures. Just scan them and share them. We have a family site. Please share them because we should see them. It gives people a way to connect with their past. All right, I see that you posted it. And so we can add that. Oh, you posted on our chat, but I'll make sure I get it to the live stream,
Okay.
and
Okay.
we'll put it on there. Lillian, I thank you.
Thank you for
There
inviting
will be more conversation.
me.
Oh, and tell them about your the YouTube series that you guys are doing, all the right reverend doctors.
Oh, related to the book, I'm Black, I'm Christian, I'm Methodist, on the Abington.com site, there are a number of video conversations. So there have been panel discussions where we have talked about a variety of issues related to racism,
Mm-hmm.
related to, the book and who we are from the Methodist perspective. And so, yeah,
Okay.
and there's some others there's some others out there also. So I'll send them to you.
And you posted on your page, right? So if
Yes.
they were on your page, they can just find the YouTube video and go ahead and watch them. I
Yeah.
found the first one very interesting, really
Okay.
good, and I plan to watch the rest.
I'm
So
glad.
back to the pictures, Renee says she's going to send them. I told you
Okay.
to scan them, but that's okay. I'll take them. And then Delma says, yes, get those pictures out the box. So that's what we're doing. So I
Oh,
thank you all for joining Lillian and I. And where's your church?
oh, thank you. I Pastor Cheverly, and I'm sorry now. Where is that thing I had?
Jesus is calling again.
Jesus is calling again. Cheverly United Methodist Church, 2801 Cheverly Avenue, Cheverly, Maryland. We call ourselves a church in the heart of the community with the community in its heart. It's a multicultural congregation in Prince
Amen.
County, a mile outside of DC. Right now, everything's virtual, but we'd love to be in ministry with you all.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope you enjoyed the session. I did.
Love
Have a
you,
great
family.
day.
Love you, everyone who's
Bye.
watching. God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Dream Aloud with Kendra. If you like the show, leave a review and tell a friend. I also invite you to join our Dream Aloud Facebook group, where we encourage and challenge our members to step outside of their comfort zone and live limitless lives. I guarantee you will experience true fulfillment when you live, work, and play your way.